Nigel Field cuts through my neighborhood.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Lucky.
I'm your other host you can't see. I'm invisible. Hello.
So, unfortunately, the person that was originally supposed to come on to do a show tonight has received threats from trans rights activists and threats of being doxxed. So, I threw together some stuff that I, just had come across and articles that I had set aside to look at and read and some video clips. And so we're not gonna stop talking about the trans issue and the issues surrounding it and what's happening and standing up for transsexual people. So we're gonna continue on with this theme and we're not gonna let the trans rights activists shut us down. So that's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. And just some other stuff that is happening. Like the first article I have is about the Oregon clinic that drops a breast cancer patient over their gender critical views. So this is right up the same alley as to what's happening to other people. The same type of reason why my guests can't make it tonight. So look at that. It's what's happening. These guys are bullies.
It's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just genuinely what is happening to people and why people are concerned about talking about these issues. And I understand that this can be a really hard thing and people can throw all kinds of nasty labels at you. They do it to me all the time. I'm used to it now. I just kind of let it roll off my back and I don't let it bother me because I know the truth. I know that what I'm saying is not out of hurt or trying to be mean to anybody. I speak the truth and, sometimes the truth is uncomfortable and sometimes people don't like it. But that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be spoken. And I'm going to stand up for women and kids' rights. And that's just all there is to it. So this is an article from the Publica, and this is from August 2nd, 2023, Jack Hadfield. So this right up top here is a letter to inform you that effective immediately you are discharged from receiving medical care at the Richmond Family Medicine Clinic. This action is being taken because of ongoing disrespectful, hurtful remarks about our LGBTQ community and staff. Yeah. So a woman that was going for treatment, right? So a woman in Oregon receiving treatment for breast cancer has been dropped by her health clinic of 12 years. But because she expressed views critical of gender ideology. You imagine that? So Marlene Barbara, who is scheduled for a mastectomy later this month, told Reddix that she had recommended commented on the presence of a transgender pride flag that was hanging in the waiting room of a Richmond Family Medical Clinic in Portland last year. Barbara explained that she had written a message to her doctor on MyChart, a website where patients could access their personal health information, describing that she found the inclusion of political messaging in a healthcare setting as offensive. That shouldn't be something that gets you a discharge.
No, that's kind of lame.
Yeah. So she, like a growing number of women, have gender critical views, rejecting modern ideologies that conflate biological sex and gender identity. Barbara mentioned she had faced rape and death threats from trans activists on X, formerly Twitter, many of whom would have identified with that same flag. So this woman gets threats to her, physical harm to her from the people that have that flag. And that's why a lot of times that flag is seen as, you know, people immediately that are gender critical see it as like, oh, you know, it's more of a red flag to us, because the same people put that flag up over and over and over again, and it's become a symbol to like of that, of the people that are the trans rights activists that will come at you and they will get you canceled if they can.
If they can.
Yep.
But they can't.
If we stop bowing to them, then they can't do it to us, right?
If you pretend along with them, then they win. But if you don't, they can't do anything to you.
So initially, the doctor who she revealed had been her primary care provider for over 10 years said that she would not take the flag down. But while Barbara had initially believed their correspondence to be private, she later discovered that the note to her physician had been viewed and shared by other office staff at the clinic. So this woman is sharing personal things with someone that she has as a doctor for 10 years at the clinic she's going to for 12 years. And this woman is going through cancer. And this is the kind of shit that she has to deal with. Wow. This June, while attempting to leave a message for her doctor regarding blood test results, the issue continued to escalate. The receptionist at the clinic, who Barbara speculated was transgender, did not permit her to be patched through to her doctor. And there's a tweet about this particular article. The person insisted I make an appointment. I have breast cancer and consequently an abundance of medical appointments. So I did not want to do that. They got frustrated with my non-compliance and hung up on me. Thinking I might have been an error, I called back and I was told I was not allowed and that I must speak to the previous person who had hung up on me. I declined as things hadn't gone well the first time. Like, why would you want to talk to that person again that hung up on you? Then she then questioned whether the refusal from the first receptionist was due to her previous complaint about the trans flag in the lobby. I asked, guessing, did I hurt the trans person's feelings that the receptionist took offense to the questioning, asking, why did you say slow with great emphasis? What did you say slow and with great emphasis? Weeks later, she received an email from Oregon Health Science University, OHSU Steinberger, informing her that she had been discharged from receiving medical care at Richmond Family Medicine Clinic.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Like, you're going through cancer.
Like, sorry about your cancer, but your political views are just too crazy for us to handle.
Yeah, you can't be critical of something that is a political movement that is being pushed on everybody. That these people gave this woman threats of rape online, and she sees that as like a targeted attack on herself, and she speaks up about it. This is a continuing thing that keeps happening, and women keep getting silenced. It's not okay. So discharged from receiving medical care from the Richmond Family Medicine Clinic, effective immediately, with services to be cut off from all OHSU family medicine clinics, including immediate care clinics from July 29th. The email did in fact specify that she had been removed because of the ongoing disrespectful and hurtful remarks about our LGBTQ community and staff. So you can't, you're just not allowed to be you're not allowed to be gender critical at all. So in October of last year, a woman identified as Emma and by the UK Daily Mail was banned from having an operation in London's Princess Grace Hospital because she requested single-sex accommodation, meaning she wanted just only females working on her. Like, that's not, that shouldn't be something that's outrageous. So the woman who had been scheduled for a complex cochlear operation also expressed that she did not want to use pronouns or engage with such manifestations of gender ideology, despite having expertise being the victim being the victim of sexual assault. Emma was banned from having her procedure at the facility for requesting single-sex care. This is how women are being treated. It's really frustrating because my guest tonight had to also cancel because of these bullying tactics that happen. I mean, women are being denied their actual health care.
Yeah, that's whack.
It's atrocious.
Whack.
Women standing up for women's rights are getting attacked at this level. Like, this is not okay in any way.
Well, I have to say that I love that everybody is on Rumble. There's only like 2 people on
I
YouTube.
know everybody's over on the Rumble tonight. So if you're watching on YouTube,
better get your ass over here.
Yeah, everyone's over on Rumble.
Because that's where everybody is. Where the hell's that snow leopard? I ain't seen him yet.
Yeah, Lady Alex, I don't know. I don't think there is a way out of this as long as we're bowing to these people that are making us
pretend.
I mean, it's
that's what it is. It's like playing pretend with your friend, but they're not really your friends. They want to kill you if you don't want to play.
Yeah, they threaten you with absolute violence. And
I mean, it could be like some of your friends. I don't know who you're friends with, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I had people that I knew come after me for speaking gender, gender critical, at all.
Yep, damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's like if you have an opinion, then you're a fucking horrible person, and if you don't have an opinion, you're a fucking horrible person. So, like, what are you gonna do? Whistles.
Hey, as we are mostly over on Rumble, like we're just all over there.
It's just gravitational pull.
Yeah, I mean, you can be on YouTube if you want.
Because I've been streaming over to the Rumbles in the afternoons, and that's kind of fun. You guys should join me over there when I do that. Yep,
yeah, that's what I was pressured into coming over here.
He was peer pressured.
Peer pressure. Peer pressure.
It's very real. You must use the social media platform we like. The one that we deem worthy.
So there was a little bit of a thing when oh my gosh, what is my brain trying to say? So there was a New Jersey trans prisoner who impregnated 2 inmates. Who could have seen that coming? Who would ever see that this would happen? And this would be, you put somebody who self-IDs as a transgender person, into a male, into a women's prison. Who would have guessed that this person would get females pregnant? I mean, I could have predicted this. I don't know why they didn't predict this. So, New Jersey trans prisoner who impregnated 2 inmates transferred to a men's facility. Demi Minor, 27, has been transferred from New Jersey's only women's prison to the vulnerable housing unit in the men's facility. That's probably a better idea, I would think. And this is from July 19th of 2022.
Always thinking.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of stuff that's
boo-boo.
happened with the men in the women's prisons, and this continues to happen, and it continues to be an issue. But it seems like they might be starting to
might be catching on.
Yeah.
Ranger Rick might be catching on to Yogi and Boo Boo. It's like an episode of Yogi and the Yogi the Bear, and the pussy is the picnic baskets. You know, it's like, oh, hey Boo Boo, let's say we get locked up with some of them prisoners. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty sure that's the scenario. Hey Boo Boo.
I don't know, but God, that totally like lost.
Gee, I don't know, Yogi.
It totally made me lose my train of thought with that. Oh my god. Oh my god. So yeah, like I'm predicting that there's gonna be some lawsuits with this. If this happened last year, I want to know what happened to these babies now.
I blame Hanna-Barbera.
Were they born?
I don't know. The DNA test says.
But people are like denying that this is happening.
Shaniqua is the father.
They're denying that this is even happening at all. But it's, to the mainstream news. So, let's not pretend.
Barbara, I don't even know her. Yeah, no, 70s cartoons have done something. It's corrupted the man think that a dude thinks that if he takes estrogen and has boobs, he should go to the girl prison so he can get laid. Now,
you can't consent in prison.
There's kind of a couple of fundamental flaws with this theory. First of all, you got to take the estrogen. I know that's gonna, unless you're a really super virile guy, I think that's gonna maybe knock out the desire and the libido action that you need to, get the baskets.
Over time, that the estrogen does make it where you will not function.
I blame it on Dustin Hoffman, that son of a bitch. Hello.
What?
Just Mrs. Doubtfire and Robin Williams too. I don't know. Lady Alex is saying stuff in the chat and it triggered me. She said, blame it on Tootsie. I just immediately thought, hello. Even though that was Robin Williams. Never mind. It's complicated. There's a lot of complications involved here. Men dressed as women, women dressing as men, prison. There's a lot of triggers. I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, and then you get headlines like where they're talking about, I don't know, a man allegedly shot and killed his pregnant transgender boyfriend.
Allegedly.
How can you be pregnant and be a boyfriend?
The syntax is wrong in that sentence. That's all it is. They just have poor editing at the Law and Crime Institute website.
Oh, guess what? It's a Florida man. A Florida man was allegedly murdered his pregnant boyfriend. That does not work. Okay, that sentence this is not. No, this doesn't go together.
That's the problem. It's like
that it was a pregnant boyfriend, or the other part,
or that person got shot. I mean, what are we alleging exactly? Both of those things, or just one of those things?
I don't know.
Yeah, pregnant boyfriend. That was a pause.
I don't even know how to go there with this. Okay, so Florida man who allegedly murdered his pregnant boyfriend and stole the life of the victim's unborn child has a lengthy history of terrorizing the people in his life, as indicated in court documents. Oh, so awful.
Yeah. The formulation of that sentence, of that headline is
It's really hard to
It's
say
troubling.
because they're like,
It makes me feel icky inside. I
they're-
don't like it.
it's actually a regular thing where there is like
Well,
male presenting people that are
sure,
pregnant.
Oz brings up the point. Maybe his boyfriend was a female alligator.
I don't think so.
They didn't mention that in the article, but
I don't think that they're supposed to. They're
not
supposed to
to
be interacting with like interspecies.
yeah, is that politically correct to have an interspecies boyfriend,
I don't know.
pregnant or otherwise?
Let's see what this news clip says about it.
The woman who was pregnant, her surname was
Thanks for joining us for 10 Tampa.
like Melissa boyfriend or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what John said.
All right.
I
Well,
believe him.
we might be making shit up at this point.
It's
All right, I'm gonna mute us and
Allegedly.
let's play this clip on this.
This weekend, I'm Miranda Parnell. New details tonight in a double murder suicide in Winter Haven. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is investigating what appears to be a domestic violence dispute in which a man killed his pregnant partner and then himself. According to deputies, the shooting happened around 7 last night near their home on Central Avenue West. That's where our Hannah Deneen spent the day getting more information. And Hannah, you've learned much more about this couple today.
I spoke with Riley Groover's mother this afternoon at her home here in this Winter Haven neighborhood where this all happened. While she's still shaken and did not wish to go on camera, she did share some insight into who this couple was. Groover's mother tells me her 26-year-old son.
Yeah, they had a decent,
This is
executive
horrible.
editor.
This is horrible and everything, but I just need to note that there's another septum piercing.
Why?
Yep.
Why does everybody take the thing that I thought was cool at some point and actually considered getting one for years? I've procrastinated about
I
it.
pointed this out to
Now
Steve.
I've waited too long. Apparently, if I get one, people will confuse me for a trans man or trans woman or transportation or some. I don't know exactly, but I don't know if it's. I'm not really ready for all that responsibility.
And it's awful that anybody was harmed. Like, we're not like glorifying
No.
that at all. It's awful that this woman who was pregnant that identified as a male, I guess, was murdered.
Yeah, the semantics involved are fucking gnarly, man. It's just so much conflation of fact and tense.
And imagine us as adults are trying to say this
syntax.
and not be mean and not be rude about it. And at the same time, to even talk about it, we have to give all these, like, all this extra disclosure and, say, it's a female, obviously, if they're pregnant and they identified as a male. I mean, people who have body dysphoria, like a female who has that, who legitimately has that, isn't going to want to have a pregnancy. That is like the ultimate, like, worst thing, and then just like takes away that. And that's why they changed that definition. They changed it so you don't have to have body dysmorphia. You don't have to have any issues anymore. You can just be trans. The self-ID of this is and then giving people all these crazy hormones on top of it. Like, I mean, the testosterone is a carcinogenic. There's stuff that happens to your brain with estrogen and other things. Like, you're messing with a natural system.
Just the story itself is crazy. Like, John's like, was the murderer gay? And though his boyfriend had bottom surgery, I'm confused as hell. Like, there's no, you know what I mean?
No, it's very confusing. It's confusing for adults, so let alone like a child.
Yeah.
Imagine child growing up in this household. Like, it's very, very confusing for freaking kids. When we're telling them that men can be women and women can be men and boys can be girls and girls can be boys, it's very confusing.
Well, to be fair, Ray and Dave Davies told us, in the early 70s about boys being girls and girls being boys, and it's a mixed up, shook up world, except for Lola. Lola knew what the fuck was up. Lola knew he was a dude, and that was, I think, that the point of the song is like, own who the fuck you are, and the rest of it should kind of sort itself out. But it's just bizarre how they would just twist a headline to spin a liberal narrative so like flagrantly, you know what I mean? Like, here, we're just going to call this, even though we know it's not, even though when we say it on the news, we'll change that keyword, that trigger word, to partner instead of pregnant man or boyfriend. It's just fucking constant game of like, it's like all the lawyers in the world just decided, hey, they all got their thesauruses out, and they all just thought of different ways to say the same things and other things and if you say it just right, it means the opposite thing. And you know what I mean? Just synonyms and antonyms and just bad fucking grammar at all costs to get the spin across the way that we need it to land.
It's just a lot, and you're like required, if you do not get everything right every single time, then they go after you with a vengeance. All right.
And was in a relationship with 21-year-old Camden Ryder, a transgender man who was 8 months pregnant. She says the couple was engaged to be married and loved each other very much, but the relationship could be volatile. She says they were living with her and often argued over work around the house, even suspecting that may have been what led to their argument last night. During the fight, she says her son took a hold of her gun that she keeps in the house for protection. She says that's when Ryder ran across the street to a neighbor's home looking for help. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says witnesses saw Groover shoot Ryder multiple times before fatally shooting himself. Neither Ryder nor the baby could be saved. A neighbor who did not want to be identified says the couple had seemed happy.
Yeah, I saw them get ready early to go to the beach together, and it was nice. It was nice. And then I am shocked yesterday when I heard like that happened yesterday.
Riley Groover's criminal charges date back to 2014. Offenses including battery against a law enforcement officer and domestic violence. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says no incidents involving abuse against Ryder had been reported in the past. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is still investigating this shooting. If you have any information, you're urged to call them. In Winter Haven, Hannah Deneen, 10 Tampa Bay.
If you or someone you know is struggling with domestic violence, there are resources. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233.
It's awful that this happened, and and there was obviously some red flags, and I really feel like we're having a major mental health crisis in this country. People are not well.
No, people are just getting wackier. Seems.
Well, I mean, look at the climate of
Congrats, Oz.
everything
That's
that's
good to hear.
happening. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much happening, and this is really, this is very confusing for a lot of people, and most people that aren't like, if you aren't like neck deep in it on social media with what's happening and the huge debates that are going alongside these issues, then it can feel like a whole lot and feel really overwhelming with what's going on. And, on the surface, a lot of people will support things and not realize what they're supporting.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Oz. Good for your sis.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oz just said he got good news that his sister's open heart surgery was successful.
Oh, that's good. Good news.
Right.
So, yeah, there is a domestic violence hotline, the national hotline number, the 1-800-799-7233. I don't think violence is ever the answer. And I just, it's heartbreaking to me that this is what's going on. And it's also very confusing when they're writing headlines in that way, where they're saying a pregnant boyfriend. That's not factual, that's not true, and they're literally lying to you to appease the gender ideology. And I just don't think that's right. I just don't think it's right to be doing that.
Nope. I would agree with that.
Oh man, there's just so much that's happening. I mean, like there's people that are like repeat offenders that are coming out. Like I'll hear about somebody, you know, on Twitter, and they get blown up because they're doing something inappropriate, like going into the female's locker room when they should be using the unisex one because they're obviously a male. And then they get caught later on a week, like, I don't know, I think it was a week later, they get caught again. And they're in the women's locker room again, naked in front of kids. And like, it just, the patterns just, they're not addressing this. They're not addressing the issues, and it's completely being covered up. I mean, it's even happening within our military. They have a base now in Texas that is specifically for the surgeries and hormones. And I have proof of it. I have a video that somebody made. And then I also have actual proof of the base. So they're creating a pipeline and they're making this really easy. Why are they doing this? Why are they making it so easy to get on hormones and, you know, and have healthy tissue cut off? It just doesn't seem right to me. It's just very concerning. And whether you agree with the people, you know, being transgender or transsexual or not, you got to admit that they're really pushing this agenda. All right, I'm going to mute us and play this clip, and then
This is going to be a bit of a longer video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emmett. I'm a transgender man in the United States military, specifically the Air Force, but I don't think that's too important. I am pre-op, pre-T, but not for long. Let me explain. So in the Air Force, right, if you're a trans member wanting to transition, you meet with your mental health provider, and they put together like a package, a bunch of paperwork to send you to Texas. Now, why Texas? I'm sure you guys have all seen the bills that have been proposed. Texas doesn't seem the most friendly for, you know, transgender individuals. However, in San Antonio, there's a base with a really, really nice clinic on it. And that's where the transgender headquarters are called. It's called TMU. It's an acronym. So basically what you do is you do a TDY. That means temporary duty. So they send you from your current duty station to Texas to have a bunch of appointments. About this is back in May when I had my initial meeting with my mental health provider, they said that it was medically necessary for me to transition. Basically, I got diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and they're like, yep, this needs to happen. That was kind of a long introduction, but now I'm finally here, and the appointments they go over, we have appointments with like an endocrinologists, we have appointments with nutrition, we have appointments with surgeons, with everybody, basically just like giving us a ton of information. What they do is put together a treatment plan, right? So it's basically like, this is when this individual is going to start hormones. This is when they're going to get top surgery. Like they just give like ballpark, right? Ballpark estimates. Now, luckily, the people that work in this clinic are extremely good. They are so respectful. They love what they do. And by the time you get to the clinic, things move fast because they know that this is a necessary life-saving thing for a lot of people. I go home on Friday, and by the time I get back to my home station, I should be on hormones within a couple weeks, which is insane. I've been dreaming about this moment, and I'm so close. I'm going to be on T by the end of the month. Now, as far as top surgery goes, I don't particularly have an exact date yet. I do know when I'm going to talk to my mental health provider and get a letter of recommendation for top surgery, which is in March. Now, some things are recommendations as far as surgeries go, and some things are necessary, right? So top surgery, there's recommendations for how long you should be on hormones, but they don't have like a clear-cut deadline for anything affecting fertility. So for me, a trans guy, hysterectomy or bottom surgery, I need to wait at minimum 12 months on hormones and with real-life experience. Basically, there's this thing called an ETP, exception to policy, which allows me to present as a man on base, use the male facilities, wear the male uniforms. And once that is signed by a bunch of people, it goes through this huge process, then my real life experience starts, even though I've been living as a trans guy for like almost a year. The military just needs a way to quantify things because of insurance purposes. Long story short, everything has been going so well. This is everything I've been dreaming about, and I'm so excited to keep you guys updated.
Okay. So I thought that was just I was just blown away. I didn't think that they would have an actual like specific clinic for just transgender health, and I was provided with this information that it is true, and I'm going to show this now on the screen. This is about the unit that this person was talking about. This is a transgender health medical evaluation unit. The first floor, wing D, and this is the hours. That's the phone number, the email. And it says THMEU is a global clinic resource for the Department of Air Force to include Air Reserve Component and Air National Guard, as well as Space Force. Members seeking to initiate and continue gender transformation while in service in a consultative resource for military treatment facility. Providers and commanders working with transgender service members. The THMEU provides clinical recommendations based on current Department of Defense, DoD, and Department of the Air Force, DAF, policies, as well as the latest endocrine society guidelines after other clinical standards for transgender care in order to ensure a safe and medically appropriate transition for all total force airmen. Most recently, the THMEU was directed to oversee the profiling of all airmen diagnosed with gender dysphoria, thus ensuring optimal readiness and deployability for this patient population. If they say this is a mental health thing, then I really hope that people are really getting the proper care, and that this isn't just like the gender clinics for the kids where it's just like a pipeline and they're just like, okay, you're sent there, therefore you're going to get all the information and everything that you need. I'm shocked. You know, it's like they need a whole clinic. There's that many people that they need a whole clinic for this, a whole clinic dedicated for this. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Why is, oh, okay. Well, now Osama's over here saying things to us as well.
Okay, well, I don't understand why.
I don't know what the problem is either. Um, I don't know what we did in covering this that made you so upset.
Yeah, I don't get the name calling or calling us idiots or
Yeah.
acting completely opposite than how you normally would act. I don't, maybe a little bit of a clue would be helpful.
You told us what the problem. I don't understand what the problem is. I'm just covering some issues that I normally would cover. I'm not really sure what the.
I mean, the problem is what you were spamming into the YouTube chat. Like, okay, and then we've all been mutilated in that regard. A lot of us have, and sorry, that fucking sucks. But it's the same for many, many, many people. We're not telling people about that issue. We're talking about something else. So I'm not sure how we crossed the line and made you upset.
I don't know. I'm sorry that happened to you. If something bad happened to you, I don't know particularly what happened to you, Bella. Um, and I'm sorry for whatever it is that triggered you to feel that way.
If
I'm
we
not.
got it wrong and his ire was towards the people that we were talking about on the screen. You know what I mean? That's possible too. It's so hard in chat to understand.
I
Get
don't.
nuance and stuff in chat.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening.
Well, we love Bella, and hopefully, we'll figure it out. Please drop me an email or something.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what exactly happened. I know others that were harmed by by their mother's care and pediatricians as well. But I wasn't talking. I don't know. I'm not even really sure what we covered that would have prompted a reply.
Sure, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, I'm just seeing that there's this like whole, it just seems like there's a whole pipeline here that's happening, and people are having really strong reactions to things, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. But I don't understand if it's such a small percentage of the population that they would actually make an entire clinic in Texas for this. It just I'm not sure what they were, if they were talking about circumcision.
I don't know.
I'm not really sure.
I definitely feel like I missed a big part of the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what got that response. All right. Well, I have another clip for you guys. I'm going to play here. Let me pull it up on screen. So this is just a clip of somebody trying to speak to somebody and refer to them respectfully with their pronouns.
Oh, please, go fuck yourself.
Well, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're just a bigot. You can go.
Oh, what makes me a bigot, ma'am? Or sir? I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go fuck yourself.
Well, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're fucking misgendering me. Ladylike.
Oh, well, what are you exactly?
None of your fucking business. What are you?
But you said I misgendered you. If I don't know what you are, how can I not misgender you?
You're just a bigot. You can go.
Oh, what makes me a bigot, ma'am? Or sir? I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go fuck yourself.
Well, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're fucking misgendering me. Ladylike.
Oh, well, what are you exactly?
None of your fucking business. What are you?
But you said I misgendered you. If I don't know what you are, how can I not misgender you?
So this is a common reaction to people when we try to be respectful and try to say, like, you know, what is it, how do you want to be referred to as? If you don't know, if you get it wrong in any way, this is how people are jumping down other people's throats. And like, you just see clip after clip of people doing this sort of thing. If we can't communicate to each other on a very basic human level, then we're not going to be able to get anywhere or solve any problems. It's really quite basic. Bella, I'm not sure what you're talking about with the botched circumcision or Jews. I didn't cover that tonight.
Yeah, no, I see. I don't know what exactly was missed by us, but I mean, I can completely relate to it. You know, being sexually mutilated and sexually abused.
Yeah, I've suffered I have suffered abuse, sexual abuse at the hands of others many a times.
So,
a lot of us carry that with us.
We do.
And it's a hard thing to deal with. But yeah, Courtney, I don't know. I guess we're supposed to just, you know, be mind readers and be able to just, you know, just exactly tell what other people are thinking.
Yeah, you can't. You know, that's the problem with so many things like this. Like certain things are super, you know, triggering for other people and stuff too. And I understand the person, you know, well, you can't misgender me. Well, if I can't tell what sex you are, I don't mean to fucking be.
Well, I mean, he said both of them. He's like,
right.
sure, man. Like, I don't know the context of like what led up to that. If he said something else that was offensive, but from that little bit, the reaction and he's literally trying to correct it. Like, but this is the interaction. This is how people are interacting with each other, and tensions are really high when it's coming to the transgender and transsexual spaces. I stayed up last night with a friend of mine who's a transsexual and helped co-host a Twitter space with them. And, you know, it's been really, really tense. And people aren't understanding the difference between the two. And, you know, when self ID got brought into all of this, it really screwed everything up. When people don't have to have a diagnosis from a medical provider and they can just claim to be whatever they want, that is what got us into this issue. That is what got us where we are right now. Oh my gosh, that was it's funny that you bring that up, Vicky, that he said that's not very ladylike. My mom used to say that to me as a little tomboy. You know, I feel like this movement is also erasing the tomboys. It's targeting the autistic children. you know, it's that's who has a target on their back right now. And my mom used to say to me when I was little, "That's not very ladylike." I remember hearing that all the time.
My mom used to get frustrated, and she only had me, my sister, and my brother, and the dog and the cat. And she would just like after a while, she'd be like, "David, Steve, shit," and then she would just be like, "Tom, girl, Tom, boy, one, Tom, boy, two." Like it was like just eliminate all the other possibilities of stammerage coming out of your mouth.
Oh, my mom would go through all of our names.
Yeah, that's what my mom.
Sometimes even get the dog's name in there.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what I mean. That that level of frustration where you just get the fuck in the house. I'm trying to call you.
You
to come
right there.
All you children that I made, come back into the fucking house. Like that moment, and you can't say Stephen, Shannon, David. You have to, you're like, Tom, boy, house, now, come.
I mean, I only had my daughter, my one child, but I always had kids around. I was always babysitting other people's kids and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I think he was being patronizing too, but also like it was just a high tension interaction between the two of them. I think that both probably were to blame him. Like I said, I don't know what happened leading up
like
to that.
A patronizing asshole at the same time,
and so did the other person.
And the other person was being combative.
And so when we're doing when that kind of interaction is happening, we're not going to get anywhere if we can't talk to each other like human beings. But yeah, I agree with you on this.
Yeah, you can be polite and still sound like a dick.
Yeah,
you can be a condescending asshole and still be very polite and mannered. It used to be a thing. We used to have a name for it. It was the Eddie Haskell. From the 50s onwards, all the kids who came up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and watched Leave It to Beaver understand the Eddie Haskell, where you're just sweet as syrupy saccharine as you can be to the parental units and the people in charge. And meanwhile, you're a little sleazebag when the parents aren't watching. That's the Eddie Haskell. So just for point of reference, I'm old. Thank you very much.
Oh,
let's leave it to Stever, not Beaver. Ha ha ha. I just snuck it right in there.
Oh, so I had this aside for the show tonight. You guys might hear me reference this person on occasion, and if you're not on Twitter and you're not into the dealing with the gender borg of people,
gender borg,
you
will assimilate. You will use my pronouns.
Oh my gosh, it's true. It's true.
I'm gonna have to make a 7 of 9 fucking graphic. Like, you will assimilate.
Okay. So I have a video I'm gonna show of Kelly Cadigan, who is a person who transitioned at 15, went on puberty blockers. I'm pretty sure those puberty blockers probably affected Kelly's brain and development. Kelly seems to be stuck in a very immature teenager mode most of the time. And Kelly, up until just recently, like a couple of months ago, like I saw an interview that Kelly did with Buck Angel, and it was great. But Kelly has shifted, and Kelly now, makes antagonistic videos and tweets that get ratioed to hell, and then cries like, "Oh, everyone's so mean to me." You're antagonizing people, and this is just one of Kelly's latest. So we're gonna let Kelly speak for Kelly's self.
I, as a trans woman, believe that biological males can identify and be women in society. Now, this is why I think the terms biological male and female should be used instead of biological man or woman or the term cis. I mean, mainly a lot of biological females don't like the term cis because they don't identify with it. I find that a lot of them, not all of them, but most of them have agreed to the compromise of being called biological females. And I say that biological males can identify and be women because I think gender and sex are two separate things. I believe that I am a biological male who experienced strong gender dysphoria, and that caused me to transition to a woman, not a female, because I felt more comfortable presenting, you know, as a woman in society. I just have always naturally been a more
naturally more.
Okay, wait a minute.
Naturally what?
Can we talk about something real quick?
Oh, here's the pills. I couldn't find them.
A woman is an adult female. Correct?
Correct.
So you can't be a woman if you're not female.
Choose wisely. Which pill are we taking?
You can't be a woman if you're not female.
Oh, sure. Here you go with your damn gender bias rules and things.
I don't know. It's just basic biology. It's something that up until 5 minutes ago, everybody inherently like understood and grasped. Like your mother is an adult female.
Your mother.
I mean, because if you're here as an adult and I'm talking to you, then you know your mother either is an adult or was an adult previous. Your mother was an adult at some point.
Making babies at some point. If you're here, just
yeah, you came from a female, and the male is the contributor, whether or not it was your, you know, like that. That is always that doesn't change.
Nope.
It takes a man and a woman, a male and a female.
That's right.
Like who created you? Whose eggs and sperm came together to help create you in the womb?
There's no woman here for both of you.
That doesn't change. It doesn't matter what you how you identify. I don't identify as a woman. I am a woman. My dog doesn't identify as a dog because he thinks he's a dog. He is a dog by classification. Steve is a male, an adult male by classification. He is a man.
It was too crowded inside me. No room for a womb.
Oh my God. All right, let's go back to Kelly.
Right.
Feminine person, and this is how I've come into my identity as I've grown older. So I don't understand why people have such a hard time with this concept, or like I'm trying to make things more complicated because everyone says, oh, let's just call women women and trans women trans women. It's like, I don't want to call myself a trans woman 24/7. Yes, that's what I am. I think trans women are trans women, but
You what?
Did Kelly say that they're not trying to make it more complicated? Because I really feel like they're trying to make it more complicated.
I think Lucky is trying to assume my gender. And Kelly is she is a trans woman, but who wants to call themselves a trans woman all the time? I mean, that's
if there's nothing wrong, then if there is nothing wrong with being trans, then why are you trying to erase that part of you who you are?
Well, because I don't want to have to call myself something all the time that I am. God.
So, I mean, but I also get that, you know, like people that I know that are transsexuals are like, I just want to blend into society and not have to call myself a trans woman all the time. So I get that side of it too. But like, you should be able to be honest about who you are. If there's nothing wrong with who you are and you don't hate yourself, then you should have no problem calling yourself a trans woman. And if that's what you are and you acknowledge it, you're making it complicated here, Kelly. You are literally making this more complicated than it needs to be. All right, let's go on with this video.
I do think trans women are a type of woman. That's why woman is at the end of that term. Now, when I bring that point up, of course, all the turfs on Twitter go, oh, well, that's why we're going to call you a trans identified male because you're stealing away womanhood. I'm not stealing away womanhood, because if you ask me specifics, I will let you know that I am a transgender woman. But that does not mean I'm telling you I see myself as a man because I can admit that I'm biologically male. Like I said, gender and sex are two separate things. I am still a woman to myself. I am just not a biological female, meaning I wasn't born with like XX chromosomes or the ability to produce children. Like I wasn't born with what a typical biological female has. I totally understand too that hormone replacement therapy does quote unquote change your biology to a degree, but it doesn't change everything. It doesn't change the parts I was born with or the fact that I had to make a transition and get on HRT to get to this point in my life, right? So I really feel like the terms biological male and female are the best way to go about this, and for everyone to agree that gender and sex are different. That's not making things complicated. I think this is pretty basic. I think a lot of you guys who say this is too complicated really just don't want to understand trans people, and you want to just reduce us to being trans, because the second you say,
Are you not trans then? Like, are you ashamed that you're trans?
Well, I am
Because
trans.
like, if there's nothing wrong with it, then why are you trying to erase that out of your vocabulary? And now Kelly has before admitted that they have internalized homophobia, and that is why they transitioned. Like, this is something that Kelly has admitted themselves. I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand why Kelly has to make things so complicated and then blames other people and says, well, if this is too complicated for, why you're the one making it complicated, honey. You're the one doing that. Go ahead.
Kelly made the propaganda, made the statement, and then did the circular thinking back where she came all the way back around to be arguing for the thing that she was debating. So that's the problem with circular logic, is once you reach a certain point on the,
It loops back in on itself.
It loops back in, and you make concentric circles arguing the points that you were debating in the first place. That's
yeah, like
inevitable.
There is a biological difference between somebody who is a woman and who is a man, and who is a trans woman and who is a trans man.
I have an interspecies character. Oz Whistles is actually a wombat. He transitioned back in the Eocene, he thinks, or she thinks. By the way, snick, snick, huff, huff, stomp for the other wombats. You guys know what he's saying.
Okay. Grey Walker said, so far as I can tell, she can call herself anything she wants. It's that she's insisting others call her a woman. Exactly. That's the problem.
Right.
It's the insistence that you follow along with what they believe about themselves. I can tell you that, I identify as a millionaire. Does that make me a millionaire?
Well, not yet, but keep identifying, baby.
Keep identifying. Maybe one day it will be there.
Eventually, we'll manifest that shit. Come on.
I know. Like,
anybody want to buy a t-shirt? Come on. It's hard to be a millionaire.
It is. It's hard.
It's hard to identify as a millionaire. I shouldn't say it's hard to be a millionaire, because that's really not the issue.
We're not really millionaires.
Trying to be the millionaire in the first place. There's a lot of things heading me off, like saying, "No, you don't really want to do that. You put yourself in a higher tax bracket. What are you going to do then, Steven?" I'm like, I'm going to claim higher taxes and give more of my millions away.
Okay.
I don't know how it works.
Okay, Steve. But I mean, it's the point of it. I mean, I can identify as whatever I want. That doesn't make me that thing. The whole point of transitioning is to appear to be the opposite sex that you were born, to make it easier when you are dealing with because it's a mental health condition. And transsexuals that I know would never want others to have to deal with what they deal with, because it never goes away. It just becomes more manageable.
That's right.
So a transsexual is not recruiting people into this ideology. And that is a big difference between transsexuals and transgenders.
Mm-hmm.
say we have to constantly call ourselves transgender women, then they're going to say, oh, well, now you have to identify as a trans identified male, because what you are is a male. You are not a woman, and you're not going to steal away womanhood. We're not going down that path. Trans women are women. Doesn't mean we're not trans, but we are a different kind of woman. What's so wrong with that?
Oh my gosh. Did you guys understand that?
No.
Seriously. I can understand not wanting to like be out in public and keep referring to yourself as a trans woman all of the time. And not wanting to like, you know, be vulnerable all of the time if you want to blend into society. Totally get it. But Kelly, on the other hand, is all over TikTok, has a huge influence and following. And a lot of young people listen to what Kelly says. And it's very confusing to young people to hear something like that. And then they say trans women are women. And Kelly will completely flip-flop on this again, I'm sure. Because that's what Kelly does. Right, Snork? Can you just do like Hunter Biden and have his income and be like just like selling drawings made with spit?
Sure. Why not?
Vicky, I'm confused too. What does Salty say? What about trans AM? Are those just trans people in the morning? I'm so confused. Shit, maybe I'm trans PM. Oh gosh, I don't know.
It's possible.
Grey Walker said she's conflating her subjective reality with objective reality. This is called a stoic break. Yeah, something is happening. What are you guys thinking over on Rumble? What do you guys think of this?
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, like this is the thing, is that males are just suddenly like identifying as females, and we're just supposed to like go along with that, and if we don't, then we're bigots. And see, I see both sides of people like trying to say this. You know, I see it from the transsexual side where they're just like, we just want to blend into society. We don't, you know, like we don't want to have issues with other people. And I feel like that's like kind of what happened. Like when it comes to like the LGBT community, like we got the rights to marry each other and the same equal rights as anybody else. And then what happened? We blended into society with our acceptance. The same thing I think kind of happened with the transsexual people. And then along comes self-ID, and you don't have to go through the medical process of it anymore. You don't have to have a diagnosis anymore. And then we end up with the males in the prisons, the women's prison. There's males in, you know, women's crisis centers. There's males in the locker rooms. There's males in the bathrooms. There's all these males in these spaces that were always like, you know, they were fought for women to have that space. So women fought for these spaces. And then this happens. And it's like we already had transsexuals that were blended into like the women and using the women's spaces, and now they're being attacked for doing that. And I see all sides of it. I see why women would say we don't even want transsexuals in the bathroom. I understand that. But I also understand that they've already been there and they've been using the women's facilities for a long time. And somebody that's a transsexual doesn't want to expose their genitalia, especially if they have not had a bottom surgery. They especially don't want to expose that. That causes them their own problem. You know what I mean? Like that causes them to have issues. Yeah, exactly, Courtney. Some women are going too far with the legit transsexuals who pass so well. Yeah, and the problem exactly is the men that are in beards and in dresses and, that have, AGP, autogynephilia, which there's another version of that is for females, but it's not as, it doesn't present in the same way that it does with the males. The autogynephilia. Gynephilia. I mean, it feels like our best bet is going to be to have third gender neutral spaces. But what we're seeing a lot right now is that women's spaces are becoming gender neutral, where it's male or female, doesn't matter. And then, and women are saying no, and they're not comfortable with that. We need to figure this out really quickly as a society and get our freaking shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Courtney said I want to do a major deep dive blog on autogynephilia. Like, people don't even realize that it's a thing, like it's a kink, like the people who are affected by it realize it real quick. But the other people are like, oh, what are you making such a big deal about? What are they supposed to do? Like, I'm like, we've talked about this for months now, and my opinion is that there needs to be an option, just a third option that doesn't conflict with anybody. It doesn't mean anything to anyone. It's just a single fucking bathroom for somebody who doesn't quite fit in the other molds, or is skeptical about it, or is sketched about it, or someone else feels sketched about it. They can suggest that one. You know what I mean? Like, there should be a third choice. It's not that fucking hard to do.
How about we have private stalls in our bathrooms? How about, we don't have to have these things where, and the thing is that, yes, if somebody's going to be a predator, they're going to be a predator, and they're going to figure out a way to get to the people. But the whole point is to not make it easier. That's the whole point, is to not make the access something that it's easy for them to be in there.
Yep.
And, I just want to point out that there are male and female predators. It's not just one sex. The numbers are higher with males. That is just statistically what is seen. But I also wonder sometimes how much of those statistics are, how accurate they are. I'm not saying that I think that it's completely equal, but I'm wondering, how accurate the statistics are on that we have. And I might not ever really know. Because I have a feeling that males are not reporting abuse always. Just like a lot of females that go through abuse. I know that there's no official record of any of the assaults that I went through. I mean, there's no police report for them. Does that mean that didn't happen? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means there's no official police report. Valerie said, what if you can't tell the trans woman isn't a biological woman? Would have to check ID to access a public restroom. Well, here's the thing. Like there are like women that are like more like butch women, like butch lesbians, or just like, you know, just women that just don't really fit the social like norm, that are getting questioned in bathrooms because everybody's on like high alert, like thinking that somebody is sneaking in and things like that. So like women that are actually biologically women are being attacked by others because they might be more androgynous, or like, you know, they're more butch or whatever. And so like it's putting everybody against everybody because a select number of people are causing this much chaos among our society. So we're getting like all of this stuff happening because of a small number of people are affecting the larger population right now. That's what's happening. And that's why we have to like stand up and say, this is not okay. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. Yeah, Snork, exactly. Yeah, many countries in Europe have a room like closet for each toilet, so you can fart like a young whale and not be embarrassed.
Perfect. That's the kind of place that I'm talking about.
Exactly. I think that we just need to have more private bathroom spaces. Like that's just.
It's all just like he was just checking. It's very thorough, Donald. We got to make sure.
Oh my gosh. Salty. Inappropriate. I can put the comment on the screen.
Yeah. That's what he meant, though. Pretty sure. It was like,
Gray Walker, that's a good question. Why aren't trans men coming into men's locker rooms, or is nobody complaining? I don't think that men are as threatened by a trans man.
that would have been the perfect spot to be like, cause he's gay, you know.
Well, we have a trans man coming on the show coming up. I believe it's next week, right? Steve?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about it. We're going to smoke up and we're going to have a conversation. I can't wait.
All right.
You're not misunderstood, Salty. I don't think so. I know. Yeah, like what are our new IDs going to have gender bathroom permit for the bathroom we can use? I mean, I'm like predicting that we're going to have like, you know, digital ID, some kind of scanning thing or whatever. I mean, or maybe we just have to have chairs outside. That's how you can tell. Remember the chair thing? Do you remember the chair thing, Steve?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I don't see what the problem is, Osama. Like, humanity is functionally extinct, and this is what you focus on? I'm not good. Focus on whatever Lucky wants to focus on. And ultimately, if humanity's functionally extinct anyway, who gives a fuck what we focus on? We're just
I care about this because
navigate our way through shit.
This affects me. This affects me personally as a woman.
Yeah.
This affects me.
So that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, this is what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's like, okay, I don't think any one thing is more valid than another. You know, the house is on fire next door. Maybe that's a bigger story.
What do you mean? No, it doesn't. I don't know what's going on with you tonight, Bella, but you know, I hope that you have a better evening. What was it that? Oh yeah, I'm gonna add this to the screen. I thought this was so well said. You know, they say don't narrow a woman down to being about, like everyone's always like, oh, it's not just about who has their period and who doesn't have their period. You know, that doesn't make you a woman. But yet this is outlined so well here. Because it said people need to stop reducing womanhood to menstruation. Well, I'll tell you, menstruation has a hell of a lot to do with being a woman. Absolutely. If you ask any woman, I wouldn't say go up to a stranger, but a woman that you know, and if you ask them like, how is it, can you tell me, if they've had children, you can say, how is it when you got your first period? How was that for you? How was that experience? How was going through childbirth and labor? How was that experience for you? And you'll hear similarities in their stories, but these are things that only women can answer you about, unless they were born without, with some kind of birth defect where they didn't have a menstrual cycle. The majority of women have a menstruation cycle and have to deal with it. And that's something just inherently that men will not understand, because it's just something that it's just built into our system. And there's just things that we won't understand about you completely, even if you describe it to us, and all of our experiences are completely different. We have overlap in our experiences, but they're all completely different. So I'm going to mute and play this.
If menstruation is not womanhood, or at least not part of womanhood, then what is womanhood? If biological males and biological females can both experience womanhood, then what the hell is womanhood? What do we all have in common that we could say this is womanhood? And you can't say, well, you all identify as women. Most women don't identify as women, because being a woman is not an identity, it's an existence. It's not something we have to think about and then put on. I wake up, I exist, I go to the bathroom. That's it. Being a woman is not something we have to think about until we buy pads or tampons. Tampon girlies, y'all amaze me because I can't do it. I've tried it. Can't do it. Absolutely not. Only one thing is designed to go up there, and a tampon ain't it. Some of y'all do the menstrual cup, or diapers, period underwear, when you get that positive pregnancy test, or you have a miscarriage. When everyone told you, oh, once the baby's born, your body will be all yours again. But they lied, because you're breastfeeding and the mastitis is so bad, you just want to self-mastectomy your left boob. When you're 23 years old and the endometrius is so bad and the doctor is telling you the only way to get rid of the pain is to get a hysterectomy. When you go in for a regular pap smear and the doctor refers you to an oncologist. When you're 50 years old, jumping for joy because no more periods, but you're mourning the loss of your fertility. When you're 35 years old and that dream of motherhood is slowly fading away and you're feeling so guilty for all the time you wasted. We don't talk enough about that. When you've had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage and the doctors can't tell you why. When your hormones are so out of balance you can't lose weight. When you're so stressed out your period shows up 4 days early. These experiences, while they vary from woman to woman and they're all different, there's something shared in it because it all comes from the same place. Talking about menstruation isn't reducing womanhood to menstruation. It's acknowledging the foundation of womanhood. Our first period for many women is joyful. For some of us, it was dramatic and traumatic. But that milestone is what launched us into womanhood. Womanhood and adulthood are not really synonymous. We didn't come into womanhood at 18. We didn't come into womanhood at 25. We came into womanhood when many of us were still losing baby teeth, and it's lifelong. 2 years ago, I went on a vacation. I went to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. Now, I knew I wanted to go in October because I wanted to do Halloween Horror Nights. And before I checked my regular calendar, I went to the Flow app, which is the app I use to track my period, and I scrolled to October to see which week would be the least inconvenient. We schedule events, we schedule weddings, we schedule vacations around the happenings of our female bodies, yet we are being told that our female bodies, our femaleness, this miraculous design doesn't belong in the conversation of womanhood. If our female bodies do not belong in the conversation, if this is not the foundation of womanhood, then what is?
She has that completely spot on.
Yeah. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. It reminded me of a young Deion Sanders from the 80s when he came out of college and his Heisman Trophy winner. No? Huge NFL crowd in this room, in this chat room. I'm always like, God damn, look at all these Cowboys fans. And
no, but it's true though.
Steelers
Everything is around that. Everything is like
the Bears.
You know, like if you're a young lady who likes to go swimming in the summer and you get your period, unless you use tampons, you're not going swimming. Everything goes around that. Like you ask a woman, that like, do you remember the time that you first got your period? Do you remember times that were embarrassing that you got it when you were wearing a white dress or you were wearing white pants or, you had an incident and you didn't have what you needed and you had to borrow something. You had to go to the nurse at school. For me, mine happened when I was 12 and I was in the girls' locker room when I realized that I had gotten mine for the first time. So can I imagine how it would feel to be a young lady going through that experience and having a male in that locker room? Yeah, I can imagine how fucking embarrassing that would be because it was already embarrassing for me as a 12-year-old girl. Thankfully, it happened at gym class. Women deal with much more, than just the basics. We're very complex creatures, and so are males, and we need to acknowledge the differences between us. We're very different within the same species, and that's okay to acknowledge. And it's not hateful, it's not transphobic, it's not bigoted to acknowledge the facts. It's really not.
Oh, how dare you? The more you know.
I went to gym class when I was 12, yes, in middle school, of course.
Yep. We had girls in my school when I went to gym class that one time.
Yeah. There was someone that told me on Twitter that males and females changed in the same locker room or in the same classroom. They didn't even have locker rooms in their school. And I'm like, what? And that absolutely did not happen for us. So there's just, there's a lot that women go through. Pregnancy is really hard on our bodies. We have a menstrual cycle. If we don't, if we aren't pregnant, then we have a menstrual cycle every month. There's 4 stages to that cycle. Everything's based around that. It's just something that we have to deal with.
Just gotta deal with it. Just gotta poke around.
There's some other things that I had that I'm not gonna go into all of those right now.
What is this? Why do they have a rumble beaver? I want to know.
A rumble beaver?
There's a rumble beaver. He's got a little rumble symbol, and he's doing 360s. He's just spinning around. He's got a rumble symbol.
I don't know. They have Rumble had some really cool emoji stuff.
Rumble love. It's driving me mad. Driving me crazy.
I like the dancing dogs and stuff.
Yeah, I like the little rumble love heart. But the beaver is it's intriguing. And this guy, I felt like this guy a lot in my life. But I'm glad I don't feel like that anymore.
What guy?
Everything is fine. The everything is fine guy. It's like, oh, my head's on fire, but I'm still smiling.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everything's fine. It's fine. Ghost starts to like, you ever get a chick pregnant just so you could breastfeed? I'm like, not on purpose. He's like, so I'm just me?
Oh, my God. Oh, so you could breastfeed on her?
Try and keep up, babe. He said, has anybody gotten a girl pregnant so they could breastfeed?
Well,
oh God, the joke is too funny.
I've breastfed on breast milk.
Irrelevant. Gross,
are you
but
sure?
Also,
come on.
I failed, Jim. I refuse to wear shorts around people. John Kemper, allegedly. When he was in 7th grade, he said, fuck you. I'm not wearing your fucking weird little shorts that are unflattering to my teenage form.
What? Snork said when I was in 7th grade, we were required to swim naked in junior high. What?
That is, he went to school in Ohio, I'm guessing. I'm not sure exactly what school districts.
Yes, Vicky, exactly. The PMS stage, is I'll rip your face off. Yeah.
Was it an all-male school?
Yeah, and cramps are awful. I used to get, so when I was a teenager, when I was 16, I had to go, I ended up in the emergency room because in the middle of the night I had pain and I didn't know what was going on. I had never felt pain like this before. And I ended up calling my mom from my friend's house in the middle of the night and saying, Mom, I need you to come get me. I need to go to the emergency room. I'm in a lot of pain. I've been up all night. And I found out that I had cysts on my ovaries that were rupturing. And there wasn't really much they could do for me. They gave me a shot of Demerol in my ass and sent me on my way after they checked it. And they're like, yeah, that's just cysts on your ovaries. There's not much we can do for you. And eventually I was put on like birth control to try to regulate my periods and hopefully not have such bad issues with that. But I dealt with that several, there were several times. I remember being 18 and having to I worked at a Walmart, working retail and trying to work through it because I was afraid that, I would get fired for having to leave and go to the emergency room. Like women really bear a lot, we bear a lot when it comes to we function through having our periods, through having, cramps and I've always had backaches with mine. Even before I had before my back was bad, I've always had backaches with my period. And, it's calmed down a lot as I've aged and after I had, Skyla, but it hasn't been easy. It has not been easy at all. So Snork said, You know, the boys had class on different days and girls. The coach lost his job after that year. Jeez, I wonder why.
I said
Jeez.
he went to the Jerry Sandusky High School.
Yeah, did he make the girls?
Oy, oy, oy.
Oh no, they got bathing suits, but the male teacher did not. Jeez.
Oy vey. Funny. It's funny because it's sad and it's funny.
You YouTube people are missing all the Rumble people. They're all over here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of the same people in the same place over here, over there. But there's other people over here that aren't over there.
Yeah, Courtney said I have to be on birth control that stop my ovaries from producing eggs so they don't develop cysts. Oh. Snork, that's crazy. They made you slim. I would have been like, no. And I can tell you that with honesty that I would have been no. I would have been like, no. I was really shy. I hated having to change and like just even in the locker room with other girls. I would definitely not have gone swimming naked at 12. Or young kid like that. What grade were you in? What age did you say you were?
Junior high school.
Yeah, 7th grade. Oh, Vicky said when she chats on the Rumble, the stream disappears.
Dang it.
Oh, it's so weird that it does that.
Yep. It's because she's doing it on a different system too. So
Yeah, she's on a different
thing.
How many people are on Rumble? Why don't they let folks make a simpler watch later playlist?
I know. There's like 15 or
I know that
16
would be great if they did that.
There's like 15 or 16 people on this side, on the Rumble side, and then it is weird how certain devices it looks different. They haven't quite got it streamlined because they announced Rumble announced like 2 months ago that they were going to be integrating with StreamYard so that we could share the comments and stuff. The API would work together with the StreamYard.
Yeah, so that I would be able to put the same comments. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. So I would be able to put the comments up on the screen like on YouTube and everything. So they're supposed to be doing that. I'm not sure when it's going to happen.
They're lagging. I'd say they're lagging.
Oh, man. So that's crazy, Snork, that they had you doing that. Really crazy. Well, yeah. I know. I wish that Rumble was set up more like, YouTube for the phone and for other things like that and everything. So what shows do we have coming up this week? We have a pair of lovely ladies coming on. One is from California and the other is from Scotland. So on Wednesday, we're going to be having an afternoon show. And on Thursday, we're going to be doing an afternoon show too. Both of them at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So if you miss them, you can always catch them later on that day. The second one, we're actually having the author of the book, Born in the Right Body, coming on. So we will still be able to get some of the medical questions that we have answered. and she's also in the UK. So we were doing the earlier time period for her as well. And what else do we have coming up after that?
I don't know. We have other stuff. There's other links.
Steve's going to be doing the radio show.
I'm going to do the radio show like every day, probably, mostly all the time on the Rumble. So you can watch it on the Rumble. And that will be like me playing live and spinning music live like a radio. Like you're listening to the freaking radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a thing I used to do on Pal Talk way back in the day. I would just play whatever. But this is even cooler because now you can do it with video. And back then it was just audio. And so it's pretty cool. I spun a bunch of like good tunes and shit and played some tunes in between them. So you should look on this channel, on the Fearlessly Authentic podcast channel on Rumble, and check it out. You'll see what it is. It says Stever's Live Radio Derf for your derfy needs.
Yep, X. I have been really freaking crazy busy. Yeah, I have.
True.
I have a bunch of stuff that I've been working on.
She's such a lagger.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding. She's not really lagging at all.
He's doing it on my Rumble.
I'm doing it on her Rumble.
Because
I'm rumbling on her Rumble.
Yeah, he's gonna. Are you gonna make a channel under my Rumble?
I probably eventually will, but everybody should subscribe to Fearlessly Authentic Podcast, and then we'll figure out if I need to make a channel on that. Because I mean, you'll see the different videos; they'll just be there. You know, when you come back to the channel and be like, "Oh, Steve made another video. There's another video," or you'll see and get the alert and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go watch Steve's thing because he's making another video."
Yeah, it's fine if you. I think it's fine if
Either
it's
way.
just under one channel because people will subscribe for the different reasons and
That's what I think too.
and all of that.
So you can get your music and you could get your baritonian needs met in one safe, cleanly.
I don't know if I would call it
unisex-
safe.
It's not safe at all.
It's not really a safe place.
It's
not.
an unsafe place for you to do whatever you want and say whatever. And if you don't like it, too bad. And if I don't like it, too bad. But so make sure you tune in, everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that sounded super professional. Super slick, man.
You're slick now.
I'm hella slick. Did you hear how smooth that sounded like? I sounded like a guy who was knowing things.
Well, do you?
before he said them.
Hang on. Let me
loud.
let me do a thing real quick. Let me just. We'll be right back. I'm gonna. Where's the thing? All right. So that's going to be probably it for tonight for the show. And tune in tomorrow to see Steve. He'll be doing something in the afternoon, and I'll be back on what is it? Wednesday and Thursday this week, I believe. You can set your reminder on the YouTube, and the day of it will show up on Rumble as well.
That's right.
Because Rumble, we can't schedule ahead of time, but we schedule the shows ahead of time so you can kind of see what's coming up ahead of time.
So stay tuned, and we love you.
Yeah. Please be sure to subscribe over on Rumble as well. And that way, just in case, you never know if anything happens to the YouTube. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please hit that like button, whatever platform you are watching this from. And if you want to help support this channel, there are links if you so desire to do that.
Heck yeah.
There is links and ways to donate to help support us. We appreciate it. We are saving up for a computer. We have a little bit saved aside to get a new computer, and
Before this one dies,
so I can continue to do this stuff and hopefully write a book. All right, everybody, have a great night.